Welcome back to the Chelsweets kitchen. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make this super easy mermaid glaze cake. So I've taken my very favorite mirror glaze recipe and I have simplified it. So before it was already pretty easy, it was only a handful of ingredients, but I ended up using the stovetop to combine them all. And today I'm simplifying it even further by only using the microwave. So I'm going to take you in depth, step by step, how we make this glaze, and then I'm going to show you my technique for pouring it over a cake. So first, I'm going to go ahead and get started on the assembly because we've got to make sure that our cake is fully frozen before we pour the glaze, and after that we'll get going on the glaze. Now that our cake layers are baked and fully chilled, we're going to go ahead and assemble our cake. So we're going to take a little bit of buttercream and put it down in our cake base, and this just helps secure our cake layers to our cake base. Go ahead and set this in the center of my cake base, and we're just going to apply an even layer of buttercream between each of our layers as we stack them. So now that our buttercream is nice and smooth, I'm going to stack our remaining cake layers and then we're going to get going on the crumb coat. So now that all of our layers are stacked, we're going to add a thin crumb coat around our cake. And a crumb coat does exactly what it sounds like it would. It traps in all the crumbs, so that way when we apply a second layer of frosting, it's nice and smooth and we don't have any imperfections. So this doesn't need to be thick, but we do want to make sure that we've covered all of our cake and there's no exposed cake layers. So once I've covered the cake with my offset spatula, I like to also use a bench scraper to go ahead and smooth this out a bit more. And that's because the sharper of edges you have on your crumb coat, the easier time you'll have when you apply your second layer of frosting, getting a really great finish. So this step is optional, but I'm going to go ahead and do it now to make our lives easier down the road. So you can see as I'm spinning around, I'm scraping off a little bit of excess frosting. And then I'm going to go ahead and smooth the top just by pulling in towards me with light, gentle strokes. So like I said earlier, we don't want any exposed cake, but you can see that there's still actually a little bit of frosting over that cake layer. So if anything looks like that, it's fine. We just don't want any actual pieces of cake sticking out. So now that our cake has sat in the freezer for about 5 minutes, our crumb coat is nice and firm to the touch, we're going to go ahead and add on a second layer of frosting. And this second layer is going to be thicker. And we're just going to go ahead and spread that around, and then we're going to work our way down the sides of the cake. So if you guys want to see a full tutorial on how to frost a cake with perfectly smooth sides, I have a full tutorial up for it with all the details on my Baking Basics playlist, and I'll include the link above. So we're just going to make sure that we get a really nice even coat all around the cake, and then we're going to smooth with our bench scraper. It's really important on this cake that we have perfect edges because when we pour the mirror glaze on, we want it to just look beautiful and perfectly smooth. And in order to have that work, you need to make sure that your frosting is perfectly smooth. So we're going to go ahead and really take our time here and make sure we get it just right. So now that our frosting is fully smoothed, I'm going to go ahead and clean up these little bits of frosting around our cake base, and then we'll put this into the freezer for a few hours to let it fully chill before we pour any mirror glaze onto it. To see a full tutorial on how to make my microwave mirror glaze, you can click the link above. So now that our mirror glaze is down to about 90 degrees, we're going to go ahead and pour it into our larger bowl. We're going to be using the pink as the base for this, so I'm going to go ahead and add a decent amount of this in. So now I'm going to go ahead and just add in some stripes of our blue, and I'm then going to add in some of our purple. So again, this doesn't have to be perfect at all. You can have fun as you drizzle it, whatever pattern you want. It's all going to kind of swirl together when we pour it over the cake. Alright, so now our cake is fully frozen. It's nice and firm to the touch, and we have laid our cake on top of something so the excess drip can run off, and we've also laid down a cookie sheet to catch the extra drips. We're going to go ahead and pour on our mirror glaze. So I kind of like to go around the perimeter first. Just for fun, we're going to take some of our blue glaze that we have left over here, and we're going to go ahead and put it in a line. We're going to go ahead and dip our spatula in it. Just get a decent amount, our offset spatula. So now one of our last steps, just to really give this cake an extra touch, is to add just a sprinkle of edible glitter. So I'm going to use a paintbrush here, and I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle it very gently. We've let our cake sit now for about a half hour out at room temperature, and our glaze is pretty set. We just scraped off the drips around the base. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this over, and we're going to place it onto our handy dandy cake stand so that we can slice into it. Alright, so So I'm going to gently place our cake onto. And just like that, our mermaid glaze cake is complete. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to click the like and subscribe button below. If you want to see more of my cake creations, you can also follow me on Instagram at Chelsweets. To see the recipe for this mirror glaze, the cake layers, and the buttercream that we used today, they're all up on chelsweets.com, and I'll include the links below. So without further ado, let's get to the best part. Let's cut into those beautiful cake layers that we swirled together and reveal that really fun pattern.